Well, let's move on to the Excel range squaring calculator. This is kind of a fancy WD Gann using a spreadsheet, right? I mean, back in the day, Gann had little data. Nowadays, we have thousands of charts to maybe go through and many generations of data. So, spreadsheet's necessary, in my opinion, unless you're just trading one or two commodities or stocks, right? Um, but this is the Excel range calculator, and first little things you need to know is these buttons here, they expand this so you can see all the data, minimize. These do the same thing, expand, minimize. I've kind of blown this up. I'm going to cut and chop my video up, otherwise it'll take too long. First thing you want to do is reset and begin a new session, and you can see that I've already did the coffee once to kind of review for this video, and these are what we'll be going through. But for starters, let's start a new session. Alright, you click this button, begin a new session. That deletes all this data that's in these folders, and the advanced list, everything, cleans it out. So now I've got a cheat sheet that I've created, and again, these are data of important prices based on the monthly chart and the weekly or daily, but I've went through and put the dates in there, so all I got to do is copy and paste, right? So what I like to do is always start for the oldest. Again, the input that we're going to start with is this one, and all you do is copy it. Once you have it in there, right, you copy, paste, and that plugs in everything. It's correct color and everything, so it doesn't screw it up too bad. And I would recommend save as, and just to have a backup copy in case you ever do something destructive. And these are the speeds. The main one, of course, is the one-to-one. This is squaring of the daily, calendar, weekly, monthly, squaring from high, squaring from low, squaring to zero. But once you have the first input put in, I would recommend saving inputs. Now that saves it to the input folder, or no, and also saves it to the worksheet, excuse me, and then it also saves it to the historical inputs. This I recommend not clearing. This is a keystroke kind of inputs that you leave in case you screw up somewhere down the line and you don't have to go through and look up all the data again. And you can see I had crude oil on there. So this is the spreadsheet that will do the ranges and calculate them accurately and fast. And the first thing you want to do, of course, once you input it, is save the inputs. And then you want, this is the first time we've plugged this range in, you click Save to Subfolder. That saves this prices, and then you want to go through and save the dates as well. First thing you want to do is go down here and pick a range that makes sense. I like to watch the year before to test it, and then like 2022 is our next year. And so I'm also going to widen this one out because this one's not important until later on. And so we go up here and look at 2020. I'm going to change this to 2020 because there's a lot of 2021s in here, so this will catch that. And then once you have that confirmed, you hit your research, save to research, and then that's put that advanced listing. Oops, excuse me. Date saved. It saves all those dates again in 3 squares, trying to go out at least 2-3 years. So you can see it pull up all this data that we will accumulate and then run into the advanced listing. And again, I'm going to probably stop this video here. Again, you do this all the way through the square and weekly, square and monthly. Again, you pick out your parameters, and then that's squaring from the high, right? Then you got to square from the low, which again is that low of 4150 back up to the 337.50. You do that, and then you can square from the low. And I recommend doing the zeros last. So squaring high to 0, because it will change your parameters up here in the low pricing. So do that one last. I'm going to cut this video now, and when we come back, I'll have all those dates in there for you. Okay, I've updated all the swings onto the square calculator. Kind of kept you out of that loop because it's pretty repetitive. But again, we've taken here's all the pricing, and again, you can do with this as you want, as long as you don't get above this line 8. But I like to format the cells, make sure that it's more legible, and then the data saved. These are all the dates that we've saved in 3 squares each. And then, of course, these are the inputs that I put in from my little cheat sheet when I went and found all the dates and the prices and stuff. So now, before you start the advanced search, you want to make sure you have this on again, I'm wanting 2021, 2022, and most of 2023, right? So put this at January 1, 2021, and this one at 2023. This gives it the parameters to search from, and then go to data saved, and again, these are all the data. And then once you click this, this will automatically sort everything into the parameters and the dates and whatnot. Now there's going to be some duplicates if you think of it logically. The weeklies, 7 days, that's kind of exact similar to the calendar days. I've tried to figure out a way to take those out, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought I'll just leave them because it gives it credence. And the monthlies also, there's going to be some duplicates because of that. But I figure if it's going to duplicate that, it's probably more important. So these are all the parameters that you can print or compare to the chart, see how it's done, and we'll do that here in the next short video. But on the worksheet, you want to save this data, right, so you don't delete it for future references. Again, 2-3 years flies by, so you want to be able to use this data again to update the chart. And this button here will save to the archive. Really, it's just saving the worksheet, and there I've clicked it and we've created a worksheet. And you can rename this, well, we're doing coffee, so you can rename that. Now I've already done all this on this other one when I was practicing a little bit for the video. You can copy this as well. Now at someday I'm going to have a link to do this automatically, but it's a spreadsheet. So I saved the sheet, and now you can edit it. Now these you don't want to click, right? Because these will probably show an error because they're not from the right area. But I go through and then I copy this and paste it into my coffee folder that we just created. And it's all right there for a guy. to use in a future date. So yeah, that's all the dates and times, everything's situated, everything's saved nice and neat, and we know it's accurate, and you can double check it to confirm, but over the time you'll figure out that you can't find any fault to it. I'm going to copy these also into the coffee folder. Whoops. Again, you can rearrange these how you want, but just to get the data over there, so in case you delete it, you know, it doesn't disappear on you. And we can delete this since we've already saved it. No idea what that yellow thing is in there. And then, so yeah, there's the coffee complete. Again, the advanced is what we're going to work on next. Kind of go through and see how it did. There is a lot of dates here, especially when you get, you know, we did every swing from 0, all the calendar day, market day, weekly, monthly, and I think you'll find it pretty fascinating how these dates will kind of come into the market. So we'll do that next. Thanks. Be back shortly. Okay, now this is part 3. This is kind of going through all the data that we put in here to kind of get a visual on what the chart actually shows. This is, I put it March coffee because I've got stuff in my D's coffee I don't want to screw up. So we'll use March coffee futures, and we'll just go back to like from May to September, and yeah, good enough. Put an X. Okay, I cut out a lot of that stuff I did on that chart. Again, repetitive. We're going to go through it now with all the timing marked on the March coffee chart. Based on, I think we're starting back in June, so we're going to do June, July, August, these periods right here. So let's get started. I already got them printed, so I'm just going to slide this day by day. And as we went up, we had a reversal with a long tail. There was a zone in there. Actually, it was 4 zones accumulated, right? So we knew this ahead of time. We knew that there was 4 of them coming up. Now it could have been a low, a gap up, or whatever. But again, the alert was on. And we had another zone the next day. So if you're following stops, right, you would have definitely had a stop there. And then it broke it down, 2 on this day, which is the 3rd. Had another one. So for sure you would have probably, again, if you sold it here, you wouldn't have put stops here more than likely. You would have risked the highs where the accumulation is. And again, we had, especially since we knew we had 4 accumulation days coming up the next day. Now once that's in and it closes lower, if it closes lower again, you'd follow the stops down, which we do. So definitely you could follow stops down there. Now we're in a little bit of a void until we come into the next accumulation. Again, a triangle coil kind of pattern, right? Closing lower definitely is pretty ugly. Now again, the stops, more than likely you'd have had them above this high right here. And then 2 days later we had some more accumulation and it was pushing the market lower. Now this could be a low, right? Inside day, so you don't know yet, right? For sure the stops here would have been in play. Ended up gapping lower, which was a definite concern. Little void, nothing in there for On the fourth day, we finally had something. Now again, you didn't know this was going to close higher, right? So for sure you would have had now the stops above this area. Now with a little accumulation involved, we have a lower inside day. Still probably would have stops above this area. Inside day, another little timing, and then of course we knew this accumulation date was coming, right? That's why you prepare for this to be a bottom. Closing higher and on a gap up, breaking the downtrend line, kind of confirmed that. Two more the next day. Again, we kind of had accumulation period up here, so definitely on alert, right? Again, this day closing higher, knowing we have three accumulating timings coming in, and then it did close lower. So again, these would have been down here until this took out, so you'd have probably been short right here. That might have been a tricky day, right? Might have got nicked out, which again, a secondary high, that's the tendency, right? They try to get everybody out before the storm, but you'd have definitely got back short. If you would have got stopped out, you'd have been short here. And that, again, we know we had accumulation day here. It closed on its butt. Inside day, we have another zone, so you definitely would have stops right here, or minimum above this high, right? And we had two more here, having an outside day up, with knowing the knowledge of this accumulation was coming, which was one of the bigger ones. Again, closing higher. Definitely I would have bought that with stops minimum underneath the lows. Now we got a little bit of a void with only one in here, one up there. Again, a tricky little area. You might have got knocked out, and then if you are, you'd have put stops in there, and if you did get stopped out, you'd have been back long, right? Because it took this area out. Probably got long in new highs. And now we're into a void. Market's moving up into a pretty aggressive big pattern. This is the next timing. We have one here, right? So the stops for sure go up there on that aggressive pattern. And we had an accumulation coming, 4 of them, which again is pretty big for a big move, right? So knowing that, right, we'd have been looking for something. On that push up, you might have taken profits if you're making 20 grand, right, in 4 days, or at least buy puts or do something. But minimum you'd had stops here. Market did take that out. Now you got 2 of them falling into this zone. So stops go over the highs. This is end of July. Another big down day. A void. We have 2 in here. Now again, knowing we had a little accumulation on a big drop, making pretty good money, you know, it's pretty tempting to take that. And if you did, you don't reverse, right? You can't, you don't want to go long here and guess, right? But you definitely can take profits there and then wait for the next signal. Again, to me, if you back up, this area here, this high, even though we had an inside day here, you know, the stop's got to be up here somewhere, you know, 185 or something. Now we're getting into a little turbulent area, but again, we knew coming into this that we had a big accumulation of 5 or 6 days. Looks like 5. So this makes this a more potential bottom, right? And these highs even more important. Again, I'd still be putting a stop in over that high and to get long or to get out of the short. And now we got 3 more. So we have a total of 8 in 2 days and an outside day up, closing higher, quite a bit higher, and knocking that out. So I would have been long for sure, or at least out of my short. And then another 2 there. Again, stops for here, an outside day down. Now this stop, you didn't know that this is going to, you didn't know that this was good yet, right? I mean, you could have, but now you do. You know that this area got short and this stop got hit. You follow that down. We had a little void into this one with one to done here, so we did close. We had a lower a lower low and a higher high and a higher close by a tick or two. So unknown yet. I would probably have stops right here. But again, knowing this little pattern and knowing we have a big accumulation coming up makes this even a more relevant potential secondary low, right? So it puts more credence on this little one right here, and probably, again, I still would have had my stop here, I think. Now we know that it did go up. This confirmed this accumulation and makes this one pretty valid, since we know there's accumulation here. Now again, we knew that tomorrow, which would have been the August 28th or whatever, we got 5 of them coming in, 6 of them. So we're kind of looking for a potential high of accumulation. You don't know that, right? So at the minimum, you'd have stops working right here. Now again, that's $2,000 risk, right? So now we did make a higher high, but a lower close. We had a reversal, but no confirmation yet. Now your stops could follow that up, but I'd still leave them right here. An inside day, outside day with no timing, so it's going to get kind of squirrely here. This is our first timing, so again, I would have been short here. This confirms, right, the accumulation, so this one is pretty valid, and it did go back up, so I left a little squirreliness. Now again, that's short-term trading. Again, you would have definitely been risking the accumulation here, right? Accumulation of dates at this high, at the maximum. Minimum here, and you'd have got squirreled out of the position because you'd have been short then back here. So you follow that down, and again, knowing we have 8 of them coming in. We had 1 here, 2 here on an inside day, knowing we have 8 of them coming in tomorrow. Again, a potentially bottom, right? We don't know that yet, but the stops would at least been over this and maybe this. Again, it did go lower the next day. You're still kind of waiting for a potential bottom, but it's not proven yet. It might be an acceleration, right? In all actuality, all these X's would be drawn up over the market until we confirm it, right? Well, this is our first time that we've actually got the shorts maybe in a problem. But again, our next zone came in here. Still probably wouldn't have got me long yet. It's an outside day closing higher with timing. Again, if we go up at all, this will confirm that this accumulation is a low. And we don't know that yet. It'll be continued because as of this video, it's September 19th on a Sunday. If we make a new high, again, this is the area where I'd have my stop. If we take that out, that confirms the accumulation. And that's important, right? September, let me see, today's the 19th. We have nothing on the 19th, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 20th, 2 on the 21st. So again, and then we got the beginning of fall in there. So again, another congestional zone. So if it stays here and works this bottom out, that'd be really kind of interesting. If it goes up into the 20th, which would be tomorrow, I don't know. It's definitely a little choppier zone, but well worth its. Again, these timings are just a tool. right, you still got to follow the trend. And Gann always used a 2-day trend line indicator to follow the trend. And that's kind of important, right? I mean, the 2-day trend line indicator is down here and stops here, right? And that's how I do it. He probably did it differently, but again, we have 2 days down, inside this day down. So to me, my stop's here on a 2-day trend line indicator, right? Now on the way up, a 2-day trend line indicator, we had 2, 1, 2, well, all these other ones, but 3. This was, so we definitely had. You'd be risking here, right? On a 2-day trend line indicator that broke the trend on this day, so this accumulation high was in effect. So anyway, didn't want to get off on that topic, but that is the complete Gann square Excel tool, and if you would like to purchase it, you can give me an email. But it's a good tool. I use it. I don't do this every day because I already have it made up, but at least if I know there's a big move in the works, I definitely take a look at all the timing and accumulations. And also I use the master chart calculator to give me even more dates. So again, I'm into this accumulation. These are important too, these ones individual. Now also important is the voids, right? I mean, you look, when there's no market, the market tends to trend. There was one here, but other than that, we trended up. Here was none, and we trended up for 4 big days. So again, without any timing, there's no resistance or support, so the market can move in the direction. All right. Well, thank you for watching the video. If you'd like to purchase one of the Excel programs, or both, or the lessons as well, you can do all 3 here on this website, cotlive.com. You can see it up here. And again, the Excel square tool is what we just used. $69. I update it quite frequently because I use it. So you can go to the website here if you'd like to purchase it, and any of the others. Thanks. Have a great and wonderful year.